Welcome to the Educational Channel. This is episode 1 for grade 12, unit 8, Town and Country. Before we start answering or reading about the episode more, here are a few tips to answer the set book questions. First, make sure to read all the questions carefully. Now, remember, the questions are of general nature, so you can use your own background and the textbook information. Write full, meaningful sentences and provide 2 causes, reasons, or effects according to the question. Remember, pay attention to your handwriting and spelling and revise your answers. In this episode, we will be talking about town and country. Now, when you listen or hear the words town and country, there are a few words that may come up your mind, such as overcrowding, depopulation, public services, deserted farms, infrastructure, stressful. And when we want to specifically talk about living in the city may have advantages and disadvantages. Before we list them and write them down, let's look at the pictures here and try to figure out the advantages first. You can see here people wearing different kinds of outfits. They have different kinds of jobs. You can see here a cinema or a movie theater. Also, shopping. And when we see pictures about the disadvantages, here are a few. You have an unemployed man, a factory with pollution surrounding it, overcrowding. Let's write them down in words. The advantages would be looking like this: job opportunities, better paid jobs, shopping centers in the city, public services. Let's stop at this word. What does public services mean? Public services is a noun. That means a service run for the benefit of the public, a service for the people living in a place. Now, an example would be Kuwait has offered its citizens free public services, such as transportation or emergency services. To continue the advantages of living in a city, we can add more fun places like going to the cinema or going shopping. And don't forget, in the city we have better infrastructure. Infrastructure means the basic physical structure of a place. Example, we need more money to improve the infrastructure of the city, such as the roads underneath the city, the basic structure. Let's take a look now at the disadvantages. We have overcrowding. Overcrowding is the process of filling an area beyond what is comfortable. It means very crowded. For example, poor living conditions and overcrowding lead to severe stress, don't you think? Also, a disadvantage of living in the city is rural depopulation. Rural is anything related to the countryside. For example, rural areas are very remote, but they are worth the trip. They are very green areas. And depopulation means the process of the number of people reducing in an area, decreasing, becoming less. For example, large areas of the country suffered from depopulation because of the drought. So, one of the disadvantages are rural depopulation, meaning people moving out from rural areas, becoming less. Let's add to that deserted and vacant farms. Deserted means abandoned, neglected. Nobody goes there anymore. For example, there is a deserted house in our neighborhood. No one has lived there for years. And vacant means empty. Like in the picture, the parking area was vacant. There were no cars there. To add to that, we have unemployment in the city. For example, unemployment, when I want to use it in a sentence, I would say the unemployment rate increased last year because of the economic crisis. Unemployment means being jobless. You don't have a job. If I want to ask you the question again, what are the advantages and disadvantages of living in a city or a town? Bring a pen and paper and try to write these down. You have here a table. Try to draw the table and then match what you have underneath the table with the advantages and the disadvantages. Let's take a look at the answers. The advantages would be better paid jobs, better infrastructure, public services. The disadvantages would be pollution and noise, traffic congestion, overcrowding. If we want to put them in full, meaningful sentences, we would say, living in the city has many advantages such as better paid jobs and better public services. On the other hand, it has some disadvantages such as overcrowding and pollution. From the city, let's move now to the village or the countryside. What are the advantages and disadvantages of living in a village or a country? Let's take a look here at the pictures. With the advantages, I can see a quiet zone, someone reading a book underneath a tree, very green area, no factories. In the disadvantages, I can see no shopping malls, and we love shopping, a very far road, jobs wanted. Let's put them in words. The advantages of living in a village or a countryside. No overcrowding, less pollution, peace and quiet. When moving to the disadvantages of living in a village or a country, the lack of entertainment, everything is far. The shopping malls, the cinemas, the shops, everything is far from you, and less job opportunities. Let's put them in full, meaningful sentences. What are the advantages and disadvantages of living in a village or a country? There are many advantages of living in a village, like having fresh air, peace and quiet, but the disadvantages would be lack of entertainment and the far distance. Now, let's move back to the city. We said the city life might be stressful. How could we make the city life less stressful for people who live there? There are a few ways that we can cover, a few things we can do to make it less stressful for people. Solving traffic problems. People don't like traffic, so we have to solve the problem. Planting trees. Planting trees helps purify the air and absorb toxins. And we can have more fun places to make it less crowded in the other places we already have. These are ways we can make it less stressful in the city. Now, look at this question and think about it carefully. What would you miss most about the city life if you moved to the country or vice versa? Vice versa is an adverb that means the other way around also. So what I'm asking you is, what would you miss about the city if you moved to the country or vice versa, or the opposite? So we have two questions here. If I move from the city to a country area, I might miss the good infrastructure and the public services. I would also miss the well-paid jobs. If, vice versa, I move to the city from the country, I would miss the clean air in the country and the beautiful landscapes. Now, here's another exercise for you. Try to match these words with the definitions. We will give you examples. First, we have the word hub, densely, metropolis, disturbance. Take a look carefully. Let's match them together. I would match hub with the center of activity because hub means the center. An example, London is the hub of Britain's financial world. I would match densely with closely compacted in substance, densely. An example, Hong Kong is one of the most densely populated countries. Metropolis would go with this picture. Metropolis is a densely populated city. New York is considered a metropolis, as it is a densely populated urban area. And the last word, of course, would be with this picture, disturbance. It means the interruption of a peaceful condition. For example, my sister avoids all kinds of disturbance while she's studying. You should avoid all kinds of disturbance while studying too. Take a look at this beautiful picture. Where would you prefer to live? This is a set-book question. It might ask you where you want to live. I would want to live in a place like this. Let's describe this place and learn a few more words. I can say an advantageous place. For example, you may find it advantageous to read carefully before you answer the question. Advantageous means beneficial, a condition or circumstance that puts one in a favorable or superior position. I can say a leafy place, which means having much greenery. Example, eat plenty of leafy green vegetables. Palatial. Palatial means a place that is very spacious. For example, a palatial house in a country is cheaper than in the city. I would want to live in a tranquil place. Tranquil means very calm, free from disturbance. For example, try going to bed with a happy and tranquil mind. Also, I would want a place that has residence parking nearby. Residence parking is a parking space reserved specifically for residents in an area. Example, I took permission to park in the residence parking near our area. I would want a place that I can make it my own. A place that I can make my own. Make it your own means to change something in your possession, something that you own, that you can make it reflect your personality. Example, my sister added accessories to her black dress and made it her own. Picturesque. Picturesque means visually attractive, like a picture, very beautiful. For example, the view of the sunset is picturesque. It looks like a picture. Very attractive. Now we have vocabulary exercise. Let's look at number 1. Our family prefers to live in the area as it is more peaceful. First, take a look at the multiple choice we have. We have the word graduated. Graduated means divided into different levels. For example, children's reading books are written on a graduated scale of difficulty, from easy to difficult, graduated. Then we have the word rural. We have the word astounded, which means shocked or surprised. I was astounded by the beauty of the landscape. And we have the word embarrassed. Embarrassed means showing shame or feeling shame. For example, students shouldn't feel embarrassed when they make mistakes because we learn from our mistakes. Take a look at the sentence and try to guess which word suits the sentence. Remember, we have area and we have peaceful. So the suitable answer would be rural. Number 2, noise and cause a lot of stress. I just can't handle that. We have depopulation, almond. Almond is the tree that produces a flat, pale nut with brown skin. Example, the almond, banana, and coconut palm are among the trees. Overcrowding and glamour. Glamour is an attractive and exciting quality. For example, the actress added a touch of glamour by wearing a fashionable hat. If I have in the sentence noise and a lot of stress, I would definitely choose overcrowding. Now, here are a few more questions you can do yourself and then check the answers from the next slide. You can write them down, pause the video, try to answer them. Let's take a few more words. We have the word export. Export means the selling and sending out of goods from a country. Kuwait's main export is oil and refined products. Export, goods you take out of the country. We have the word reverse. Reverse means to make something the opposite of what it was, like when you play Uno. You have a reverse card, or when you drive a car, you can put it on reverse. An example would be, the manager tried to reverse the decline in the company's profit. And we have the word socioeconomic. Socioeconomic is anything related to social and economic factors. For example, education, income, and occupation are factors to determine socioeconomic status. Check your answers and try to figure out and then come back to take a look at the correct answers. Here we have a few more words, but these words are called idioms. Idioms are words that don't exactly mean what is written. First word you have is hustle and bustle. Hustle and bustle means activity, liveliness. For example, Mr. John moved to the country to escape the hustle and bustle of the big city. We have far and wide. Far and wide means over a large area. For example, volunteers came from far and wide to help the displaced villagers. They come from all over the place. Odds and ends. Odds and ends means bits and pieces. Example, the desk was too messy because my brother left all his odds and ends on it, bits and pieces all over the place. In this episode, we learned how to use the new vocabulary items in sentences and answer the set book questions. Thank you for watching.